Before starting this video, I request you all to please like and subscribe as it really motivates me a lot.
The story begins with a system announcing that a target is nearby. The main character trembles at the warning. The system displays the message, "Affection level toward you is," before introducing itself. It greets the player and explains that this is a special world created solely for them. The system instructs the player to raise the affection levels of designated targets in order to progress the story and achieve a special ending. It explains that success will return the player's memories and send them back to their original world. The system clarifies that each target's affection level is capped at 5. If the affection exceeds this limit, it will enter an overheat state, greatly increasing the chance of triggering an extreme ending. With that, the system declares that the game has begun. Soon after, the overly silent household of Count Huxley experiences a subtle but noticeable change. That change begins with Ariel Huxley, the Count's reserved daughter who has spent most of her life confined to her room. She replaces her worn-out dress with a new one. She also begins strolling through the garden twice a day, greeting and briefly conversing with the mansion staff. Though small, the change is significant. Ariel asks her mother how she is doing and whether she is well. Compared to her previous isolation, this behavior marks a transformation as stark as night and day. Her mother replies that she is well and asks about Ariel in return. Ariel answers that she is doing well as always and casually mentions that she had a brief piano lesson the previous day. She explains that it was her first formal experience learning an instrument and that she found it surprisingly enjoyable. Her mother responds that learning 1 or 2 pieces would be beneficial for her education and offers to arrange a teacher. Ariel hesitates and says she doubts she has talent and does not believe she can learn properly. The mansion itself always carries an atmosphere resembling a funeral. Since being widowed, the Count has adopted a cold demeanor, speaking only when necessary. Combined with Ariel's former silence, the household has long felt somber. Because of this, the servants secretly hope that Ariel's change will continue. Later, Ariel's mother informs her that His Highness the Prince will be visiting the estate that day and plans to stay until dinner as part of his routine political observations. Ariel internally reasons that if she offers a proper greeting, she will not need to deal with him afterward, since he is visiting to speak with her mother. Her mother reminds her that the prince is the same age as her and that they will likely meet again at the academy. She advises Ariel to seize the opportunity to make a good impression and welcome him properly. Ariel nods in agreement. Her mother estimates that the prince will arrive in 3 or 4 hours and suggests beginning preparations immediately, offering help if Ariel needs anything. The maids escort Ariel back to her room. As soon as the door closes behind her, Ariel mutters to herself that this is bad. She suspects that the prince is likely one of the targets. She opens the system interface, which informs her that the story is still locked and that detailed information will only be unlocked after meeting at least 2 targets. It is revealed that 1 week has passed since Ariel woke up in this world for reasons unknown. She is now living as the daughter of Count Huxley. While she retains full knowledge of the setting and its society, she cannot remember who she originally was or where she lived. The only way she can see the system screen is by holding the device close to her face. The device itself looks completely out of place in this era, constantly reminding her that she is not truly Ariel Huxley. No matter how often she checks it, the phone displays the same message, as if it refuses to teach her anything she does not already know. Although others cannot see the screen, the device itself is conspicuous. Ariel decides she must hide it. She calls for the maids to help with her preparation. One maid offers to assist her with choosing a dress. Ariel reflects that Cannon was the first person she encountered after becoming Ariel Huxley. During the days she was unconscious, Cannon took care of her with visible concern. Though Ariel did not understand what was happening at the time, Cannon patiently taught her everything she needed to know, believing that she was the real Ariel. Ariel thanks her sincerely, thinking that without Cannon, she would not have been able to prepare properly. The maid modestly replies that even without her help, the young lady would have looked beautiful. Later, as rain pours down and Ariel stands beneath an umbrella, she steels herself. She tells herself that she must do what needs to be done. If she meets the target and progresses correctly, she can reach the ending within 3 years, recover her memories, and return to her original world. She wonders whether meeting this person can truly help her regain her lost memories. At the estate, the prince asks whether the count has any children. The countess replies that he does and explains that her daughter has always stayed in her room, so very few people know of her existence. The prince acknowledges this and steps toward Ariel, telling her that she is not a servant and instructing her to lift her head. Ariel looks up and sees the prince standing before her, staring at her expressionlessly. The prince comments that she is much smaller than the count. Ariel remains dazed, frozen under his gaze. Suddenly, the phone rings. The system announces that the story has been unlocked. It informs her that free play is now available. New details have been added. Help functions have been unlocked. Information regarding conquest targets has been unlocked. Ariel later reflects that the experience feels strange, as if everything is still vividly carved into her mind. She recalls how her emotions spiral out of control, an overwhelming chaos of confusion and embarrassment. In her thoughts, she remembers a road flooded with dazzling sunlight, the cityscape gleaming as light reflects off building exteriors, and a fleeting moment of warmth shared in quiet conversation with someone unknown. She realizes that something incredibly precious was right in front of her, yet she was unable to grasp or hold on to it. The memory makes her feel as though her heart has been torn apart. The scene then returns to the present. The second prince addresses her directly, stating that she is not a servant and instructs her to raise her head. Ariel introduces herself formally, saying that she is the eldest daughter of the Hackney family, Ariel Hackney, and that she is pleased to make his acquaintance. Her mother watches with visible concern. The countess asks Ariel to wait while she speaks with His Highness. Ariel obediently agrees. The countess then invites the second prince inside. As he leaves the area, Ariel observes internally that his personality does not seem gentle and that holding a conversation with him will likely be difficult. She worries about what impression she has left and regrets not managing to make a better one. Soon after, a maid informs Ariel that the countess wishes to see her in the banquet hall downstairs, where His Highness is waiting. Ariel acknowledges the request. Just before escorting her, the maid hands Ariel a small box, explaining that it is a welcome gift for the prince and that the countess has requested Ariel to present it when the prince is alone. Ariel notices that it is a square-cut sapphire and thinks that her mother must have been serious about her earlier words. The maid escorts her to the banquet hall, and the guards announce her presence. The prince orders her to sit immediately. Ariel complies. Internally, she laments forgetting her phone due to the sudden situation. She thinks that her status prevents her from approaching him easily and senses his sharp demeanor, leaving her unsure how to present the gift. The countess remarks that the weather does not seem likely to clear and suggests that the prince lodge at the estate for the night. He agrees, stating that he does not wish to travel in the rain and will leave later as suggested. The countess asks whether the meal suited him, and he replies affirmatively. She thanks him, noting that the kitchen staff will be pleased. At that moment, the prince smiles and fixes his gaze on Ariel. He declares that he would like a moment alone with her. The room grows tense. The countess asks for the reason, but the prince coldly replies that it is unnecessary for her to know and orders everyone to leave and wait elsewhere until summoned. Concerned glances are cast toward Ariel as the prince watches her like a predator observing its prey. Once they are alone, Ariel grows increasingly nervous. The prince criticizes her behavior, noting that she neither positioned guards nearby nor spoke a single word, accusing her of sitting silently like a doll in front of guests. Ariel responds that she was merely being mindful of her etiquette in his presence and explains that she is usually more carefree. The prince smiles and mentions that the countess told him they are the same age and that Ariel will be joining the academy this year. Ariel confirms this, explaining that although the decision came late, she felt compelled to attend starting this year and had already resolved to do so. The prince then asks what she would say if the countess requested that he consider taking her as his princess. Ariel is stunned and asks what he means. When he directly asks whether Ariel Hackney desires to become a princess, she admits that she was unaware of such intentions and needs time to think it over. Internally, she is shocked by her mother's boldness. The prince then questions how he should interpret the secretive offering brought before him. Ariel thinks that since it has already been revealed, she might as well present it, though she hesitates. She finally admits that it is a present for him. The prince remarks that the countess has been meticulous in her preparations and wonders whether she is attempting to flatter him or whether Ariel herself harbors ulterior motives, though he notes they have only just met, making such motives seem unreasonable. Ariel carefully chooses her words, realizing that approaching him recklessly would only earn his disdain. She admits honestly that it is indeed flattery. When he asks why, she explains that she has never participated in high society before and fears being dragged into disputes at the academy. She says she hoped to secure his backing by leaving a favorable impression. The prince summarizes coldly that she seeks the influence associated with his name. Ariel confirms this. He concludes that the countess must desire more for her than merely the title of crown princess. Ariel realizes that her mother was trying to help her in her own way. The prince remarks that looking after her would be trivial, but questions what he would gain in return. Even considering the countess's hospitality, he finds it insufficient, then abruptly stops speaking. Thunder crashes outside. The prince smiles faintly and states that since he has decided to spend the night, he will consider it if Ariel manages to win him over. It is noted that the Prince of the Empire is infamous for his hypersensitivity. He tests, evaluates, and judges people relentlessly, and when they fail to meet his standards, his demeanor shifts into something frighteningly cold. His actions are often openly disrespectful. Suddenly, the prince throws the sapphire out the window. His behavior frequently results in the dignity of others being utterly shattered. Finally, he commands Ariel to come and seek him out. In the pouring rain, Ariel is seen thinking about where to search and how to find the jewel. She looks around helplessly, then glances up at the prince and wonders whether this task is truly possible. She questions internally whether winning someone like him over can really be done. The prince, meanwhile, watches her with menacing eyes, carefully observing every detail of her movements. Ariel forces herself to think rationally and tells herself that even gaining his goodwill would be beneficial. She reminds herself that the prince's image carries immense power. At the same time, she reflects painfully that she remembers nothing of her past, no home, no family, not even her own name. It feels as though her entire existence has been erased. That is why she is determined to return to her original world no matter what. She tells herself to stop thinking about the past and to focus only on what lies in front of her. The prince, Skylar, grows impatient. He thinks about how long she intends to keep searching and wonders whether her behavior stems from stubbornness or sheer willpower. In his mind, he mocks her, urging her to give up, run to him, cry, and beg. He imagines laughing at her tears before granting her what she desires. He believes she does not understand the easy way to get what she wants. To him, worth must be proven through satisfaction. Skylar reflects that this method, putting others through trials, rewarding them afterward, and erasing their memories, is how he has always operated. He believes that no matter how the Count's daughter behaves, the ending will be the same. He will eventually grow bored and lose interest, just like always. Yet today feels strange to him. Unlike before, something feels different. He reasons that the Count's daughter should already understand how aristocratic society works. With her beauty, she would normally be unable to avoid such attention if she had entered high society. And yet, she shows little expression. Her obedience to this cruel command traps him in place, preventing him from leaving, and he finds himself questioning why he is even still there. He wonders whether she truly does not understand transactional relationships. He questions whether she is really going this far just to earn a small amount of trust. He recalls the Count's warning and briefly considers whether it was actually true. Still, he dismisses it, deciding that such matters are not something a prince should concern himself with. As he prepares to leave, just as he has done countless times before, Ariel suddenly calls out. She announces that she has found the gem. Exhausted, she tells him that she hopes he is satisfied, admitting that she is so tired she can barely stand. The jewel slips from her hand, but Skylar catches it just in time before it hits the ground. Skylar notices her injuries and thinks that there is no need to overanalyze the situation. He assumes that, in the end, she likely wants some sort of reward. Yet a strange sensation grips him. He wonders why he feels compelled to keep her from being taken away. The thought unsettles him. The scene shifts. Skylar is later seen in a room, gently touching Ariel's hair. Ariel, half conscious, places her pinky finger against his. Skylar remarks that she must like holding on to it. Ariel slowly realizes that she is holding hands with the prince. She stands abruptly and asks why His Highness is there. Skylar replies that she looks as though she has seen a ghost. He then tells her that he has been waiting to take her somewhere and instructs her to get ready if she is awake. When Ariel asks where they are going, Skylar tells her to ask the Count for details and leaves. Ariel immediately realizes that he is clearly a target. The system activates and identifies him as the first target, Skylar Von Ether Levelthan. His status is displayed, Prince, age 17, possessing a sensitive temperament. His affection level toward Ariel is shown as 1 heart. The system notes that he is interested in her and that there is a high probability of response if she speaks to him. His current location is marked as inactive, but can be activated. Ariel is stunned by the level of detail. She thinks that her efforts have finally been rewarded and feels relieved that she can now interact with him properly. Another message appears, asking whether she would like to activate target tracking. Ariel wonders whether this means she can see his location. The system confirms that the target is nearby, currently located in Count Hackney's main house on the 2nd floor corridor. Ariel finds the interface strangely familiar. Just by looking at it, she instinctively understands how to operate it. She wonders whether tools like this were common in her original world. A maid knocks and asks for permission to enter. Ariel agrees. The maid asks how she is feeling. Ariel replies that she is fine and comments that the power of the imperial family truly is something else. Confused, she asks what the maid means. The maid explains that His Highness treated her after she fainted, likely using some form of sorcery. Ariel is startled but reasons that magic must exist in this world. It is clearly not just a normal historical era. Ariel asks what happened while she was unconscious and inquires about the bag beside her. The maid replies that she does not know all the details, but explains that the prince and the count discussed Ariel's admission to the academy. It seems that His Highness personally recommended her transfer. Though academy admissions normally occur in April, the maid explains that with a prince's recommendation, arrangements must be made immediately. Ariel is stunned. She realizes that while she expected to attend the academy eventually, everything is happening far too quickly. She reflects on the empire structure, noting that children of the highest-ranking families are granted noble titles. The empire operates under a centralized system with a severe class divide. The crown prince and grand duke stand at the top, second only to the throne itself, and are addressed as Your Highness. The second prince and dukes also hold immense authority and are addressed with equal reverence. Ariel's mother informs her that His Highness has agreed to write a letter of recommendation for the academy. She explains that reviewing the documents will take time, so it is better to proceed immediately. She reassures Ariel that there is nothing to worry about, as it only involves registering as a transfer student. Soon after, Ariel is seen sitting tensely inside a carriage. She looks toward the prince and thinks that although her mother said everything would be fine, she failed to mention that Ariel would be riding in His Highness's carriage. Ariel considers whether she should express her gratitude now. She hesitates, worrying that he might dislike being approached altogether. Still, she remembers being told that she should at least try. The system's information board flashes a warning, reminding her to be cautious of his sensitivity. Ariel thinks bitterly that all the information she has learned feels more like warnings than actual strategies. She wonders if it might have been better not to know anything at all. Suddenly, another figure approaches the carriage, startling Ariel when he appears near the window. Skylar remains unfazed and mutters an insult under his breath. The system announces that information about a new target has been unlocked, Ration de Solem. Ariel immediately wonders whether he is a target as well. She notices how strikingly handsome he looks standing in the pouring rain and finds herself curious about who he is and what role he plays. Skylar sharply tells Rei-shin to ride properly. Rei-shin casually replies that his current position is comfortable. Skylar grows irritated and tells him to stop, saying he does not care whether it is comfortable or not. Rei-shin questions why Skylar would care, remarking that someone like him would never get hurt anyway. Skylar snaps back, asking whether he needs to put his life on the line for Rei-shin to stop his behavior. He complains that every time Rei-shin jumps onto the carriage, it shakes violently and disgusts him. Rei-shin calmly replies that it is only because Skylar's defensive magic is too thick and suggests thinning it out. Ariel remains seated in silence, nervously observing the exchange. Skylar tells him to give it a rest. Rei-shin's gaze then shifts toward Ariel, and he asks what that is. Skylar responds coldly, telling him it is none of his business. Ariel gathers her courage and greets Rei-shin, but he does not reply. Skylar explains bluntly that even if Rei-shin heard her, he would not greet her back, as that is simply the kind of person he is. Ariel silently wishes that the carriage would just start moving already. Rei-shin asks who she is, remarking that it is rare to see Skylar with a girl his age. Ariel pretends not to hear and stares forward, choosing to ignore the conversation entirely. Skylar demands to know why Rei-shin is suddenly showing interest when he does not even speak to people he knows. Rei-shin muses aloud about whether Skylar intends to make her a consort, noting that it is the first time Skylar has shown concern for someone. However, he adds that Skylar does not seem to cherish her much either. Skylar responds internally that regardless of the relationship, it will end the same way. As always, he will eventually lose interest. Rei-shin dismisses the matter, stating that it is just another issue involving the royal family and not something he should concern himself with. Soon after, Skylar wakes Ariel, and the coachman announces that everything is ready, addressing Skylar respectfully. Ariel thanks the coachman. Skylar shows a faint blush and acknowledges the readiness before instructing the bodyguard to guide her. As Ariel steps down, she wonders whether this truly is the academy building. Skylar calls her over and hands her the documents required for the transfer, instructing her to keep them safe and explaining that he will need to stamp them with his seal. Ariel bows deeply and thanks him, thinking that everything seems far too well prepared, as if it had all been arranged long before she even arrived. Skylar, maintaining a cold expression, tells the staff that Ariel is his guest and orders them to treat her properly. A maid responds affirmatively and asks Ariel for her luggage. Ariel is surprised and thinks that these women are not ordinary maids but ladies-in-waiting. She recalls hearing that they would not even offer their hands to lower-ranking nobles. Skylar informs her that he will assign either a maid or a lady-in-waiting to her and tells her not to act so miserably while she is here. Ariel nods and bows again, thanking him for his consideration. Skylar blushes faintly once more and orders everyone to escort Ariel. Ariel stands there for a moment, confused, as the attendants move around her. While walking through the long corridor, Ariel thinks that they were supposed to be at the academy. She observes her surroundings and feels unsettled, realizing that this place looks far more significant than an academy. She wonders why everything is moving so fast and so recklessly and questions whether she truly has to spend an entire day here before even reaching the academy. The maid leads her to the room where she will be staying. Ariel looks around silently, taking in the unfamiliar space. The maid then asks whether she will be dining in the banquet hall that evening, or if it would be more convenient to have the meal brought to her room. Ariel immediately grows nervous, suddenly remembering Skylar's warning not to act so miserably. She wonders if she should avoid using honorifics with the maid to prevent being disliked. Gathering her courage, she politely requests to dine in the room. The maid sighs softly and replies that the meal will be prepared around 6 in the evening, roughly an hour later. Ariel agrees. The maid informs her that if she has any additional requests, she may press the bell on the wall. She then adds that Ariel is free to go anywhere within the premises, but must return to her room by 10 p.m. With that, the maid takes her leave. Once alone, Ariel places her coat on the chair and notices the information board activating. Information regarding Rei-shin appears. His affection level is displayed as 0. Ariel learns that he is the cousin of the Emperor, and she immediately understands why he spoke so casually earlier. Another window opens, detailing the imperial ranks. It explains that those of the highest status share the same bloodline as the founders of the empire. They are described as noble, untouchable beings, sanctified through generations. Their bloodlines are revered not only for their rarity, but for their unparalleled genetic superiority, manifested directly through blood. The information explains that the Libelthian Empire, formed from countless kingdoms into a single empire, exists largely because of this inherited genetic strength. The imperial authority is overwhelmingly powerful, and the class divide among nobles is extreme. Even nobles themselves cannot escape discrimination, and lower-ranking nobles are forbidden from casually addressing those of imperial blood. Ariel reflects that this must be the reason the maids appeared so stiff and restrained. They seem accustomed to living under constant tension. She wonders how she is supposed to win anyone over in such an environment when everyone is a high-ranking noble. She doubts whether it will even be possible to meet them whenever she wants. At the very least, she decides to determine their locations. She activates the tracking system. Target 1, Skylar von Ather Libelthian, is listed as nearby, currently located at the central place on the first floor. Ration de Solem is shown to be at the Duke's Solem estate, though the distance is too great for accurate tracking. Ariel freezes as she realizes that Skylar's location is marked within the central place. It finally dawns on her that this place is not the academy at all. It is the Imperial Palace. She recalls being told that she is free to explore until 10 p.m. rather than sitting around. She considers trying to meet Skylar since he is nearby. She briefly entertains the idea of asking him to have dinner with her, but the memory of his angered expression immediately discourages her. She wonders why he would ever agree. She looks at the transfer documents and considers using unclear details as an excuse to approach him, but realizes she understands everything perfectly. With only 3 years to build affection, she knows that hesitating now could mean never getting another private opportunity. She decides to go out. As she walks, she rehearses what she might say, perhaps asking about how the transfer process will work. Still, she reminds herself that her status does not allow her to approach them freely. Suddenly, a sharp sound echoes through the corridor. Someone slaps another person. A shocked voice cries out, addressing the other as Your Majesty. Ariel is startled. She immediately realizes that this title is higher than Skylar's Your Highness. The voice continues. It belongs to a frightened girl who says she will not continue further, acknowledging that it is disrespectful. The other person coldly responds that since she knows it is disrespectful, she must also know what kind of punishment such behavior invites. The girl protests tearfully, questioning how he could cut off her feelings like that. The man smiles, a devilish, unsettling smile, and remarks that he once thought she was merely stupid, but now sees her as a child incapable of controlling her emotions. The girl asks desperately whether it was truly a joke, whether it was all a lie. The man tells her not to cry, mocking her by saying it is unbecoming, just like her family. Trembling in terror, the girl slaps him again. At that moment, the man notices Ariel. He subtly gestures for her to remain silent. Ariel immediately covers her mouth, frozen in place. The man calmly remarks that he has now been struck twice. The girl freezes as the weight of her actions sinks in. She tries to explain, addressing him again as Your Majesty, but he cuts her off and tells her he will let it go. The girl runs away in panic. Ariel stares at the man, thinking that he looks just like Skylar, but his expression, personality, and presence are entirely different. The man suddenly turns to Ariel and apologizes, calling his behavior disgraceful. He asks her to keep the incident a secret. At that moment, the information board activates again. Information about a new target has been unlocked.
Target: Devonsia von Elios Lebeltien.
Please like and subscribe to support us.